Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Pastor Shay, aka Chaplain G, coming back at y'all with another word of encouragement for today. So, check this out. A lot of people claim that they know God, right? They thank Him at the award shows. They they say they grew up in a certain type of family where they say they know God and they grew up that way. But I don't think a lot of people really have taken the time to either know or even try to get to know God and who He actually is. So in the day and age where we are, seems like we are hyper concerned with how people recognize us. It's interesting that we will misrepresent God almost every time we talk about Him. And so I was looking at who God has introduced Himself as, right? So I was looking in the book of Exodus, and this is when God was had already led the people out of Israel. He's got them at the base of the mountain. They're doing their thing. Down below, worshiping false gods and stuff. God gets mad. Moses gets mad. The whole thing is a hot mess, right? And so they try to clean up all that mess. And God tells Moses to come up to the mountain, right? And he says, I'm gonna introduce myself to you. I'm gonna introduce my covenant name, the name that when you and the people talk about me, this is who I want you to know me as. And I think that's why maybe we're so hyper concerned with how people identify us, is because we innately know that our name has significance. Like this is a culture that their name actually meant who they were. But for us, like we don't, like I have no idea what Shay means. I think like a couch. That's not. It's not the totality of who I am. But for God, as He's talking to this culture at this time, God presents His name and He says, "I want you to know me. If I'm gonna be in this like intimate relationship with you, where I'm your God, you're my people, I need you to know me." And He presents His name to Moses to give to the people. And check out what God says His name is, right? This is Exodus 34. I'm going to pick it up in verse 5. Y'all can see what I mean by this. The Lord descended in the cloud and stood with him there. So the him that he's talking about is Moses, right? It says the Lord descended in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of the Lord. So he's about to give us His name. It says the Lord passed by and before him and proclaimed, the Lord, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness, keeping steadfast love for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, who will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children and the children's children to the third and the fourth generation. God doesn't say, yo, my name is Steve. There's so much more to God that He has to give the fullness of what His name is. And He says that He is providing steadfast love and faithfulness, that He's slow to anger, that He's gracious. It says that He's abounding in love so much that He gives it to thousands or 1,000 generations, if you will. Forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin. Like God, by His nature of who He is a forgiving God. He's a loving God. But He's not just going to let evil roll like it's all cool. Like there's certain sins that carry on throughout the generations. And God says He punishes those sins. And so we're talking about not just a God who is a loving God. Like a lot of people will say, well, God is love. And that's true, right? God is also holy. And He won't put up with the garbage. There's so much to who God is that we can't just simply say God is love. His holiness is also a main proponent of who He is. His wrath is also a main proponent of who He is. His forgiveness, all those things God is all of them all at one time. It's not like he has these moods that he gets in. He's both loving and wrathful at the exact same time. And in a culture that we're increasingly getting away from knowing who God is, it's important that one, we respect the pronouns, right? That one might get me in trouble. We respect the pronouns, and that we respect uh, the name of who he is. Like, you can't just call him something he's not. We can't continue to say God is love and that be the end of the conversation. God is holy. God is just. God is righteous. God is wrathful. He's all these things. And the more we get to know God uh, and really get to know him, that is the beginning of wisdom, as the book of Proverbs would say. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And so, in order for us to get to know him and start to have this reverence for him, we got to start reading about him. We got to respect who he says he is. So that's my encouragement for you. Like, if you haven't, if you maybe lost touch with who God is, or maybe you grew up in a family that said they know God, but you never really explored it for yourself. If you would call yourself a follower of God, a follower of Christ, but you've never really dug into the Word to figure out who he is, man, that's my encouragement for you today. Find out who God is, because you might be shocked by who he actually is. So that's my encouragement for you. I hope you're doing well. There's a lot to that. There's a lot of theological suppositions that go behind that, but just as an encouragement, man, pursue God. You won't be disappointed. So please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. All that jazz. That stuff helps me out. It's not my main goal. Quite honestly, my main goal is just to tell people about God. The more that YouTube can have these little algorithm tricks like sharing, and subscribing, the more people like to know about God. So help your boy out. Love y'all. Hope y'all doing well. Hit me up on the email. I know not everybody's doing great today, so hit me up if you need me. And I love y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Grace.